So, hello everybody, and welcome to our bi-weekly KCP community meeting. I think it's the last meeting before holiday break. So, thanks for finding time to join. And as always, this meeting is governed by the CNCF guidelines, which boils down to be excellent to each other. And here's Marvin. So, with the intro going out, before we jump into our agenda, I can see a few unfamiliar new names in a meeting. Do you want to introduce yourself first?
Yeah, hi. I want to say hi, James McShane. I'm involved in a couple different projects, but just hopped into KCP recently, did a PR last night, and so hope to do a few more as well.
Cool, yeah. Thanks for your contribution. Anybody else?
Yes, I'm Nelotar Ravalos. I've recently found out through work about KCP, and I think just an interesting project. So, yeah, just looking around for now.
Cool, yeah. If you have any questions, just ping us in a Cube Slack. We welcome every new community member. Cool. Nobody else? Okay, so we can jump to the agenda. So we have let me share a screen. Cool. So we have one item. If you have anything else to talk about, feel free to add to agenda. Marvin, that's yours.
Yes, exactly. Thanks for taking over the moderation. So yeah, basically we recently released a KCP patch release to address a security issue. Huge thanks to you, MJ, for fixing that actually. But that got us thinking about, security policy, how should external people report security vulnerabilities to the project. We so far didn't have an official process for that. So I just wanted to propose this kind of document as a starting point. It's a pretty, bare bones, but it sets the GitHub security feature as the GitHub advisory feature, I guess. Like you can submit security reports through GitHub if you enable it. We have now enabled that. And this is basically what this document writes down as, hey, this is our policy. This is the tool that we're using or the feature that we're using. And I basically just wanted to run that by the community before we merge it. And wondering if there are any comments on how you think security issues in KCP should be handled.
I think I just had one comment that disclosed through GitHub and mailing list, because I'm one of those which fails to manage my GitHub notifications.
That was kind of, I guess, and this is what we've been doing. We sent out an email for the KCP patch release disclosing the vulnerability at the same time. So I think you're right. It's kind of what we already did, and I'll just amend the document with that.
Yeah. Apart from that, I think it looks good. We can always iterate and change as we go. It's better than what was before.
Do we want also some separate email or dedicated email address for that, where people could submit?
I think the challenge with that is that we don't really have, an email provider or anything that could host this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think CNCF offers mailboxes for sandbox projects. I'm not sure. Maybe we could create a mailing list.
We have a maintainer mailing list. We could use that for the moment, and we could switch to dedicated one if you want to.
Those emails should be private, no? Not in a
They are, I think.
Public place.
Okay, I mean we could offer that as an alternative. I think that makes sense. I'm not sure who's part of that mailing list. Has it been updated recently?
No, both of them were quite silent mailing list, I would say. So my take is we have a very active GitHub community, not so active mailing community. So maybe let's not add a third one, silent mailing list.
But this is on demand, right? When somebody writes something. So it's maybe different. So it's KCP minus dev minus private. This exists and it has
And how
all
does
maintainers.
that can external people send to that email?
I think I just used that for the Blue Sky KCP user. So it comes in and then there's some approval process. So it's not going directly, but you get a message that there is a message, basically.
Okay.
We can try test it and see. Yeah, makes sense. But we're talking about how people report the security issues, right? Not how we disclose it out.
Yeah. Yeah, then maybe let me add that as well, because I think otherwise there are people out there, I guess, that are not using GitHub actively. And I assume that some of them are security researchers, and I would hate for them to basically say, I don't have a GitHub account, I'm not going to report what I found. So
yeah.
Okay, I will add that. Thanks for the heads up, Stefan. I didn't realize that existed, but I'm part of it, so.
Cool. So cool. Okay. I saw Luke joined. We had this document from the last time. Look, is this something you want to discuss today, or are we moving to some other day?
I can go into it a little bit. I haven't got a chance to kind of iterate it as much as I wanted to at the end of the year, but I've taken a new role where I will in my company. I was trying to mock out what a use case looked like that wasn't specific to my company, but kind of had this dependency hierarchy of APIs and just thinking through the optimal way to export these and manage them, in a multi-tenant scenario. So came up with this kind of garage concept where imagine you're opening an auto mechanic company. It would be maybe multiple of them offering different services, running on different versions of the tire services or the fluid services with dependent services of their own. In my company that I do work for, one of the things that we're grappling with is managing very large products and all of their APIs and the versions of those APIs that may be in production at any given time, knowing that we have multiple tenants binding and consuming those APIs at utilizing different versions at different times. So anyway, this was a scenario that came up with, and I do plan to kind of continue to put together some CRDs and some mocks for this, but wanted to kind of pose and get the group's feedback on how they would perhaps manage something of this nature.
What is a challenge here in particular? Let's say, like you talked about a hierarchy. Is there some referencing, for example? Anything?
I think we're like coming into KCP, like in the documentation, there's not a ton of like trying to like case studies or use cases that I can wrap my head around at the scale of which that we would be looking at. Like I've got another deck I'll share at some point, and I think actually in some of your KubeCon presentations, you kind of have done this, is like the different personas are working at different levels of these actual services, and just trying to put together like a use case and an example of how a team of people might manage these types of service with these version hierarchies from an operational perspective more than a technical perspective.
I mean, there's a question about multiple API exports and having them in different workspaces. Basically, you don't have to have it in the root workspace, right? Not everything. You can have them in other workspaces. There's a discussion, maybe this is something for you to look up in our Slack around moving resources from export to export. I think this is relevant probably here. So you can start with a simple topology and then later on move things around and split them up if you want to.
Yeah, like I don't think an export can reference another export, right? So
it can for claims, permission claims.
Okay.
You can access basically other services resources, so you can claim and access on them.
Gotcha.
Permission claim is a topic.
So I think in like just at a high level, you can imagine like complex, for instance, banking products, like your savings account that would have thousands of services, and maybe you have different lines of businesses, different types of banks, small business banks, commercial banks, retail banks, all looking to reuse where possible services, but having many products that might have their own evolution. And I think that that's the scale at which I'm trying to, so think about KCP as a possible solution to help us control. And I think the first, you know, as we went through this, one of the things we're first looking at is possibly like end-to-end testing or live dependency testing. How can we give the opportunity for teams to bind to a set of APIs that they intend to then have specific types of workspaces that allow them to quickly do end-to-end testings either on our shared testing infrastructure or, you know, a local host. So I think maybe what I can do is, I know that like I wasn't quite ready for today, but I can continue to iterate on this and add more questions and some new thoughts, and maybe it's
try to model it as far as you get it with it, and ask questions in Slack if you have issues. And there might be certainly basically things which are missing in KCP to support your use case. So just make it visible. Tell us about it. Yeah.
So just to give you a maybe hints, one thing is like we know there is a place to improve in API exports and bindings permission model, like what kind of accesses you can expose, example by name, by selector, by prefix. There was an effort before to enhance this, but we need somebody to pick it up basically. That's one, like just a hint. Another one would be like, you talked about multiple providers, like entities. Like, are we talking about single KCP instance global, or are we talking many KCP instances somehow interconnected together, like as a different vendors, basically? So it just, I don't expect you to have answers now. It's just more for like what assumptions we are operating with, basically.
Yeah, I'll work to understand better, more information to give the better answer to that question at a later time on like what the boundaries and what the non-functionals or otherwise are that would lead me to answer that as saying we would want multiple KCP instances versus one. I think in this case, I was imagining one, like in the scenario I provided, where you are managing software for multiple auto garages that though might, you know, be enlisted or using different versions of those services at any given time, or offer certain services that others aren't, but they're consistently binding to the same APIs.
Yeah. Okay, so I think what I'm hearing is let's take it offline, and once you have more questions, we can, like, feel free just to kick off and maybe dedicate a Slack chat. We can make it a long-running thread and just discuss these things if
Awesome.
it makes it easier to do it asynchronously.
And just for reference, I am doing some of this with the real use case in my other company. So I'll continue to like probably work there and then take the findings and move them into this more broad example that might help others kind of think through.
Cool. Okay. Any other open topics in the general area? Going once, going twice. Okay, open floor. So I had one which basically just to look to our issues, if anything we can assign, discuss, and things like that, because I saw a few people raised a few of those. But I think that might be a long one. So is there anything before this one we want to discuss?
It's not something to discuss, but I just wanted to say, I don't know, I guess thank you. Like, this has been a great year, very interesting one for working on KCP. And, you know, it's the season to think about these kind of things. And I'm grateful for that opportunity with KCP. But that's basically it.
Yeah, it's I agree totally with you. It's honestly speaking, for some time it felt like it didn't have this yet iPhone moment, and like we've been spinning in the same circle, and now community is growing, more engagement is happening, and it gives you motivation to continue doing what you're doing and continue this one. So thanks everybody for the engagement, conversations, and everything what happened. I think last year was that cliff crossing year.
Fingers crossed on that, showing its truth.
Okay, issues. I know we had a filter somewhere for the raised ones, but I didn't prepare this one, so we can go one by one. So
If I remember correctly, it's a board under projects that we were using.
Oh yeah, right. Let's see.
But it's been a while since we had to triage stuff.
Yeah, and I kind of think, oh yeah, this one. Cool. Okay, so let's see. So let me paste in a chat the one which open if people want to open it here.
Yeah, I remember that. I think someone would need to take a look at this and like rerun their test case. I can't believe it's 2 months old already.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they provided a very,
it's even
good way to reproduce it.
Okay, that's something we need to take a look on. Validate. Is there anybody any volunteers to take a look in this one?
I mean, I think for now we can move it to the backlog.
Yeah. Okay. Status backlog. Yeah, I don't know which one to assign. Let's do that. But yeah, if anybody wants to look into it.
This could be a good first issue if we point the person to the code where it might be. Sounds deep.
Spare time.
Sounds deep, but not too complicated, I hope. Localized basically, or in one component, the mission plugin.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Basically, let's not leave it for the next 2 months to for here. Cool. Oh, this is mine. I think Mirza signed this one. It's just a CLI. Like currently KCP bind works quite well, but if you have more custom resources like config maps and things like that in a list, it doesn't work. Like you need to provide a way to tell what to accept or accept everything basically. Hence, when you're doing POCs, that's something it just gets. It's a simple CLI extension to allow provide what you accept or you don't basically. So that's in progress. There's already looking into that.
Yeah, some of these I created because we like started talking about them. And like this one is already assigned to Marco, so.
Yeah. So, okay, that's already here. Is it me today or GitHub is very slow or it's just my internet is?
It had some issues earlier this week. I got a lot of unicorns.
Yeah, I feel like today is something similar. Okay, so that's Robert, that's review, and I saw some progress with that. So let's keep the issue. Like if you refer this one in every PR you have, we will have a very nice track record here. So thanks, Robert, for volunteering to do the rebase.
Yep.
Yeah, the loading feels like in a 1995, and the modem underneath your table was making sound.
Yeah, this is basically the authentication config stuff that's in Kube now. We never took a closer look, but it feels like something that would be very useful in KCP. So this is also for the backlog.
Yeah, this is, and just for the record, we've been discussing and thinking how would one, even if would be possible to have multiple of those per workspace potentially, or per workspace type or hierarchy, something like that, basically. But this is out of scope for this one. I think for now we just need to enable this one, but scenario which we've been thinking, what if two providers using same instance want to have two identity configs which we want to have full control of?
And this is basically just bringing us to feature parity with Kube in that area, and then workspaces would be a feature going above that.
Cool.
Yeah, this is a minor thing in the documentation that I noticed. Like nested, they are like indexes that show all the like child pages or child sections of part of the documentation, and it works well on the first level, but on the second level the links fall for. So documentation issue, if someone would be interested in that.
Yeah, you can assign to me. I'll start talking with JMC.
No.
And it's JMC SHANE. Will be the whole.
Yeah. I will assign it after that.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for picking that up, James.
Wow. That's. Oh, this is the one which we had a Slack thread. Basically, there is a Slack thread open for that. Currently, if you have an API export, and if you don't have any consumers in that API export, basically there is no CRDs. Like you can't start controllers, you can start informers and things like that, pointing to that export. So we thinking that it's a poor developer experience because basically you need to diverge from the how you write controllers in some cases. So we think we can fix that. So this is story more for the investigation. If something like Fenk, as Stefan suggested, take endpoint until they're actual CRDs. But with this, like, we don't know if it's feasible or not technically yet. So we need to investigate. I think I can add it to backlog. So this is something I think would somebody gonna pick this up would expose to the internal details quite a lot. So it's a steep learning curve. So anybody wants to pick it up, just let us know if any pick it up.
A good learning opportunity.
Yeah.
Learning.
Do we have? No, we don't have a good learning opportunity. I don't think it's a good first issue, but oh, so this one, James, you already started working on this, I think.
Yeah,
Is that the case?
Yeah, that's my idea. I'd probably just not assignable as I'm on the org.
Yeah, we need to fix that.
Yeah, there's a PR. I had to do a couple things to make the documentation generation work appropriately. Otherwise, there were some conflicts between the two. So yeah, when you get a chance to take a look at it, and it's in a better it's in passing linting now, so it should be good.
Yeah, just for others' knowledge, basically, we had only one CLI binary in a docs. Two of them were not being generated, so it's a fixing our code generator to include every our CLI command and generation. Some of them we duplicate, like KCP workspace, but it makes sense to add other ones because we ship them basically as a binaries.
Sounds good. One thing that I wanted to say on the assignments, if you're not part of the org, you can leave a comment on the issue. And after that, we, from the maintainers, can do the /assign prow commands with your GitHub handle.
All right, yeah.
So I think it doesn't work now because James hasn't commented it on this yet. But once you leave a comment like something like, I would like to take this one, then MJ, Stefan, myself, or one of the other maintainers can basically let the bot assign you. I think that should work.
Okay, that's a sign like that, yeah?
The G and N, I think, need to be switched.
Yeah.
But this should work now. So we're doing a live test of what I'm saying.
Now, prow gods.
It worked. You got it.
Okay, where was the second one? No, not this one.
It was near the end. It was one of the last ones he did. But
No.
Maybe it's. There you go. This one.
This one. Let's see if that stuff works without that, but yeah. Yeah. you need to leave a note. Cool. So with that, I think we have 5 first good issues if people are interested. But apart from that, I think we're done.
I'll take the ws-i because I was just working with the ws command.
Was that? Oh, this is a juicy one.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, which we've been.
I remember I had a bash-based prototype of how this could work. I think it's linked later in the issue. James, if you want to have a chat.
Yeah, I'll reach it.
Yeah, this one is interesting, and this makes demos very much way more exciting when you have something like this. Cool. And I think that's closest these ones. So that's cool. Back to this one. And I think with this we run out of agenda items, so I will open floor again. If anybody has any questions, comments, suggestions. If not, we can close this meeting early. And once again, really thanks for all you joining, for all the engagement and issues, and being part of the community. I think, as Marvin mentioned, it helps us to keep doing and keep motivation up. So thank you very much for all your time and ideas and help. And let's make the next year even better.
Happy holidays, I guess.
Happy holidays. Cool.
Have a good one.
Thank you, everybody. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.